Elizabeth Short was just 22 years old when her name became immortalized in one of the most gruesome and infamous unsolved murders in American history. She came to Hollywood chasing dreams of stardom, like so many young women in the 1940s. But for Elizabeth, Hollywood wasn't a gateway to fame. It was the setting for a nightmare that would leave the city haunted for decades. Her story truly begins on the morning of January 15, 1947, when a mother and her young child were walking through a vacant lot in Los Angeles. What they found was something no one should ever see. At first, the mother thought it was a mannequin, discarded and torn apart. But as she got closer, the truth became horrifyingly clear. It was the body of Elizabeth Short, mutilated beyond recognition. Her body had been severed cleanly at the waist, drained of blood, and posed in a grotesque manner. The lower half of her body was placed several inches away from the upper half, and her legs had been spread apart. Deep gashes ran up both sides of her mouth, giving her the appearance of a ghastly smile. Elizabeth's murder wasn't just brutal, it was calculated. Whoever killed her had taken their time. The precision of the cuts led investigators to believe that the killer had medical knowledge or surgical training. But what made the scene even more chilling was the way her body was displayed. It was clear that her killer wanted her to be found and wanted to send a message. Before her death, Elizabeth had been known around Hollywood as the Black Dahlia, a nickname given to her because of her striking black hair and her fondness for wearing dark clothing. She had come to Los Angeles with big dreams, but life had been anything but kind to her. She struggled to find steady work, often relying on the kindness of strangers and acquaintances to get by. The media was quick to paint her as a party girl who lived recklessly, but her family and friends described her as someone kind-hearted and deeply vulnerable. The investigation into Elizabeth's murder was one of the largest in Los Angeles history. Police interviewed more than 150 suspects, ranging from local drifters to prominent doctors and businessmen. But the case quickly spiraled into chaos. The media frenzy surrounding the Black Dahlia was unprecedented. Reporters flocked to the scene, contaminating evidence, and wild theories began to spread. Some claimed Elizabeth had been killed by a lover. Others suggested she had been targeted by a sadistic doctor experimenting with human anatomy. Then there were whispers of a Hollywood conspiracy, with claims that she had known something about powerful figures in the city's dark underbelly. Despite the exhaustive efforts of the police, leads dried up. One of the most prominent suspects was Dr. George Hodel, a wealthy physician known for his eccentric and often disturbing behavior. Years later, Hodel's own son, Steve, a former LAPD detective, would claim that his father was the Black Dahlia's killer. He pointed to evidence found in his father's home, including photos of a woman who resembled Elizabeth, as well as his father's cryptic comments about the case, but no charges were ever filed. Elizabeth's murder remains unsolved to this day, but the details surrounding her life and death continue to fascinate and horrify people. The more you dig into the story, the darker it becomes. Many believe her killer wanted to make a spectacle of her death, turning it into a performance of violence. Others think Elizabeth was simply a young woman who trusted the wrong person at the wrong time. What makes the Black Dahlia case so chilling isn't just the brutality of the crime. It's the mystery. It's the way her dreams were stolen in the cruelest way imaginable. It's the thought that her killer may have walked away, living a full life, while Elizabeth's ended in that vacant lot. Elizabeth Short came to Hollywood chasing a dream. Instead, she became a symbol of how far darkness can reach in a place that promises so much light. Her story is a haunting reminder that the glitz and glamour of Hollywood often hide a much darker truth, one filled with broken dreams, shattered lives, and the kind of evil that thrives in the shadows.